Hey guys, what's up? Brian here for Ginger Prime, and I'm today going to be doing a little bit of a reverse. Asmongold reacted to me, I'm going to be reacting to his video, why I got banned from Twitch. I don't know what's going on, but I already have a couple thoughts formulating in my head. We'll see if they end up proving out to be true. One thought is, and we don't know what's going to happen here, so it could be completely wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. One thought here is that Twitch banning anybody, especially a big streamer, for any period of time acts as a vacation and acts in a way as a gift to that streamer, that content creator. And by just looking at over 1 million views, number 6 on trending as I wake up this morning, I think that already seems to be true, but we'll have to go into the video. So I wanted to put that out there as kind of a first thought so that as the video goes on, we'll see if that actually measures up to overall what's happened, because I don't know why he's been banned. And so I'm going to jump into this video itself. I'm going to go ahead and pre-like his video, and you guys should do the same for this one if you feel like it. And let's go ahead and explore why Asmongold was banned off of Twitch.
Hi guys, today I wanted to talk to you all about the fact that I got suspended on my second Twitch account, Zachrar, for 24 hours. Now, this happened a little bit earlier today. I've tried to work it out, and it seems like this suspension is not going to get overturned, so I'm going to make this video and express pretty much what happened.
All right, just to jump in already at the start of this, and just to note, this is how I do reactions. I jump in, pause, and we discuss. Okay, Zachrar's been blocked, so essentially that means that he doesn't want or shouldn't be going over to Asmongold either, because that would essentially count as, or could be seen as, ban evasion. We've seen that. I've talked with other streamers who essentially have multiple Twitch channels, or can't even now appear on Twitch on other people's channels because it can be considered ban evasion. And so there's this general warning that when it comes down to what it means. However, when you already seen, like, and he's talked about that he's hoped that he's would be banned or suspended from Twitch at some point in the past because he could make a killer video, and he's not wrong. This is him saying that he was going to make a killer video, and he got his 24-hour suspension. I mean, what already right at the start, what a freaking gift that is. Now again, it's ludicrous depending on why he got banned off of Zachrar, but if you've ever seen his Zachrar content, it's always just kind of chill and hanging out. Like, it's just, so, well, let's find out if I'm right or wrong.
So effectively, I was streaming Diablo Immortal, which, to be fair, I think that in itself should be grounds for a suspension. But unfortunately, Twitch did something even dumber than that. They decided to suspend me for hateful and unmoderated conduct in my chat. And I'm not talking about my chat on Twitch. I'm talking about my chat box on Diablo Immortal. I had stood up for maybe like 5 or 10 seconds. I was readjusting my blanket here, and I had my chat showing, and in the process of doing that.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? In-game chat? Especially on Immortal, on a free-to-play game? Anybody who's ever played a free-to-play game, like, the argument for a subscription fee, the argument for a buy-to-play model is that it keeps a lot of the people who have no care in the world. They're just there to raise hell and cause chaos. Oh my gosh, dude, and so that means somebody had to be monitoring and then report that, right? Because there's no way Twitch is like trying to parse that kind of information from your stream. That would be absurd. But so somebody had to report that, somebody had to see that, and then essentially say, and then take that to that level. And obviously, like, at his size, I'm sure he's got trolls that are literally doing that. And if somebody was trying to troll him in that way, like, what a gift they just gave the guy. Like,
there was a person in the chat box who typed the N-word, and they did not type it. Obviously, I have the language filter on, so they had to use special ways to get around it. So they put dots in between every single letter, so it was N dot I dot, etc. You know how it goes.
Word.
And this happened. Word. I sit back down. The chat's almost off the screen, and people are mentioning it to me, and I'm like, oh, it's going to go away in a few seconds. It is what it is, right? Because I think that in general, whenever you give these things too much attention, it generates more of these things happening, because this person gets attention, they get a response, everybody's mad at them. And
that's something even Ninja Tyler Blevins has talked about, like, in certain things, like at a certain size, like there was even articles about it, like how much does the streamer have to go and try to police and parent and educate the viewer, and how much time do they need to spend doing that, when essentially somebody that's causing chaos is just doing that to get that reaction, to get that response, and it essentially derails the whole thing, and it only then encourages it even more.
And they've effectively achieved their goal. So I didn't want to give this person what they wanted. Unfortunately, Twitch did. And so Twitch decided to suspend me because I did not adequately address this situation. Although I spent 5 minutes afterwards talking about it and going over the reasons why it's stupid and the fact that people that do this are just annoying, attention-seeking man-children, apparently this wasn't enough. And so Twitch suspended my account with apparently no grounds to even appeal and remove the suspension. So the reason why I think this really pisses me off is because of the fact that I clearly did not support any of this, and also it's the implication that by the suspension being there that I am somehow complicit or okay or approve of racism being on my stream.
That's ridiculous.
Which I find to be completely fucking disgusting and absolutely an insult to me, to be honest with you. And it's absolutely ridiculous that Twitch would even think that this is the case. They would even think this is something that I'm trying to do or something that I'm trying to promote. Back in 2017, 2018, I was one of the first people who banned the tryhard emote in my chat because every single time that I said something that could be correlated with a negative black stereotype, people were typing tryhards in chat, and I was the only person who was intellectually honest enough to call it exactly what it was. Unfortunately, to this day, Twitch has yet to do that. So they have multiple emotes on their channels and on their global emote list that are used almost exclusively in a racially stereotypical way. But the moment that somebody in their community does something like what happened to me, and by the way, I want to make this very clear, I never said any of this. This was something that was typed by a random person, and it was in a chat box, and it went like this, right? It was gone in a few seconds.
What I really find like ridiculously interesting is that, and I guess essentially maybe what they were doing is that the chat that was hanging out with him was talking about the situation happening in game, and that's essentially like if there was any kind of logging or moderation or something like that that would kind of kick in and bring more attention to it. Like I could see how as a programmer I would write rules on, oh, they're talking about like searching for certain key phrases and things like that. But the fact that it's in game in and of itself, it's that like would tell me, you know, obviously depending on the kind of game that you have, that obviously text chat within a game's client would need to be hidden. We've seen it in Final Fantasy XIV multiple times where things that are actually happening in game and now on stream can actually have a real impact on a ban. And when I say ban, I always, you know, I guess the right word is suspension, but I always think of it in terms of my Halo days of ban and permaban, where permaban was like you're done and a ban is like, okay, you know, a certain period of time. But you know, where it would constitute that kind of response and action. And now it'd be like, well, I guess you know, here, what lesson should you take away from this? Make sure you don't have you know, kind of like your text chat box window on in game, and that in a weird and interesting way primarily will affect certain types of games over others, right? Like it's like not every game has a text chat feature, but they do have voice chat features, and still some of the most horrible things, you know, could still be said. At least that's how they used to be.
And apparently that wasn't enough, even after I had a conversation talking about how it was bad afterwards. And so you have a platform like Twitch who allows these racial stereotypes to be propagated and proliferated by these emotes. You have Ming Lee. You know, you talk about an Asian stereotype, people are going to say Ming Lee. You talk about any sort of a negative Muslim or Middle Eastern stereotype, people are going to put in Nell. I have all those things banned in my chat because it's something that I don't support. On top of having those things banned in my chat, I also have trained my mod team to not only identify those types of things, but the fact is, guys, I've been on the internet 20 years. I know pretty much about every single different slur that's in the English language and a few in other languages as well. So not only do I understand all the slurs, I also understand the euphemisms like 1488 and jogger, etc. I see all of these things even if people think that I don't, and I've trained my mod team to be even more vigilant on that than I am because I'll be busy streaming. So the idea that I'm going to be suspended for unmoderated hateful conduct in my chat is absolutely offensive to me, and I find it to be incredibly ridiculous that trying to not draw attention to something and not allow somebody to weaponize and therefore provide a reward structure around using a word like this is seen as a bad thing. The reason why I don't like this is also because as soon as somebody gets suspended for something like this, what that really tells everybody else in the community is that if you want to get a streamer you don't like suspended, go into their game and start spamming the N-word. Go into their...
Yeah, and that's exactly probably what's going to see will have happen over the course of the next couple weeks. And what then you'll also see is you'll see that people will gather evidence of streamers that don't get banned versus streamers that do get banned, right? So assuming that we see a pattern of this going forward, then essentially this will continue to call out one of the things that irritates a lot of people is the inconsistency in enforcement, right? So if like, okay, Asmon got hit, but then let's say another big streamer, you pick one, I can't even think of one off the top of my head, has the same similar system happen. And then it's like, well, why did it happen here, but not here, but it's the same type of situation. It's that I think drives a lot of the community just bonkers, because it just frustrates me as a content creator. Because like in my case, like me and Chris, we share a Twitch partner through Work to Game, and it's like we're not big enough that it's like if we did get a ban suspended from the platform for any period of time, that would essentially constitute what Twitch did with Asmongold. He has such a massive platform that the ban and the suspension doesn't really matter. So I think what you'll could possibly see is a wave of small to medium creators getting that ban, which essentially is that gatekeeping. So it's empowered essentially the trolls and the gatekeepers within any kind of game community, and given them another way that they can manage that. And especially with games with free trials, you could see that they could easily do that without any risk to their personal account as well. So it does show a new weakness in the system.
Their game and start spamming the homophobic F slur. Go into their game and try to say something racist to get them in trouble. And what does that really do? It creates more racism, it creates more negativity, and it makes people that are part of those groups feel less and less like they're a part of Twitch. And I think that this happens explicitly because it's so it's so much of a problem. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have to do anything to get rid of this, and I think from now on what I'm going to do is I'm going to always have my chat blocked without any exception. Because apparently Twitch is too stupid to realize any of the context around it. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's impossible to get rid of all of these things. I think that by the nature of you allowing anybody to communicate with you in any sort of a game, you do open yourself up to having these types of negative interactions, and to blame them on the content creator and to say that that person is at fault for having these things happen to them is effectively blaming the victim, and also weaponizing these words beyond what they already are, and then turning them into a weapon to be used against streamers, and thus proliferating them even more commonly on the website. I find this to be incredibly fucking insulting. And on top of that, Twitch has a number of different streamers, and these are people mainly in the WoW section that have been racist for years. There are some of them, I know one of them at least, is banned from competing in any Blizzard tournament at all, and because they're racist, right? And there are partner.
I was just laughing off the line. I know one of them, not laughing at race. Well, when it comes down to it, I don't understand racism. I never have in my mind, in my life. I guess that's I'm very blessed to have that as a life experience, But I'm not laughing at the fact that there are racist people. I'm laughing at his line, and I know them. Anyway, I don't know why that tickled me so.
Streamer on Twitch. So my opinion is I don't really think that Twitch cares about racism unless they get hurt, if they get told about it. I don't think that it really matters to them whenever black streamers and any sort of a minority streamer were getting these hate raids, etc. The best Twitch could do was send out some cease and desist to two losers in the UK. They don't even try to do the bare minimum for their content creators, and at the same time they expect them to go above and beyond, and even outside of the context of what they're saying, try to make what they're doing as perfect as possible. You're going against somebody who is looking for something wrong. Even
the only thing that I will add to this, in terms of just like as somebody who's done and lived in software from various teams, right? There's something I want to kind of separate for you guys as a part of this discussion, because yes, hate raids, all of that, absolutely awful, and there was like a massive season of it. And the unfortunate thing is it still happens. There's still creators, medium and small, that are having that still happen to them, and that is absolutely appalling. But one of the things that I want to separate that from kind of just the logistical nightmare that is then assumed as to be kind of an easy switch. The first thing first is that, like, when he speaks of Twitch, when a lot of people speak of Twitch, they speak of it like it's a person with one mind and goal, and that one, idea of Twitch is what is making that decision, when in reality it's, hundreds if not thousands and thousands of people all working on various different systems. And when it comes to development and programming, same thing within games, is that there's the reality of like, okay, we can make this change, right? And I always talk about this in terms of, like, sometimes when people come to me and they have a request for a feature change or an addition or something like that, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. And typically, usually when somebody comes and says, I think this is going to be really hard, I'm so sorry, but can you do X? And when I do that, I go, oh, that's actually really easy, because we built that kind of concept into the core foundation of the platform. And we'll get to, just stick with me and bear with me on this story here just real quick, because I guarantee you I think it has a payoff. And then on the opposite side, oh, I'm sure this is going to be real easy. Do you mind doing X? And then it's like, oh, that one actually is going to be hard because the system has no like data model. We haven't trained anything. We don't have any, any kind of logic that's going to have that permeate throughout the system. And so sometimes when you have to go into kind of the core data model, the data access layer, the business logic layer, like there's all these different kind of things within development, it has the risk of obviously having catastrophic failure in certain things. So you have to do a lot of testing. You also have to coordinate with other teams to make sure that everything is kind of working in tandem. Now, in the case of Twitch, though, when it comes down to it, when we look at what YouTube added with their raids with AKA Live Redirect and how they've got it set up so that you have to pre-approve, I think there's balance here. I think when it comes down to Twitch's aspect of the raid, that essentially kind of being able to work to extend that so that you can then approve and control who can and who can't raid you. And so I think essentially where it's interesting when we start to talk about when people are building out these features, YouTube's seen what's happened over on Twitch and has been able to go in a complete other direction. And there's no real perfect happy medium in this case. Like, obviously we would all love for people not to be complete assholes and be racist and, horrible. But obviously they still will be. In fact, the internet with that anonymity can kind of empower that. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I, like when it comes down to it, like putting Twitch as this kind of person who's like saying that they're perfectly fine with it. It's that, well, like, I think it's a matter of like, how can they go about to achieve that goal in a way that is trying to coordinate 1,000 people. I'm not trying to give them a complete pass, because it's been, I think plenty of time that a decision and features could be made. And it seems like they've made some progress, but obviously not fast enough progress. And I don't know if it ever will be fast enough progress in and of itself. So anyway, that's just something my experience when it comes down to it, especially when you're coordinating a huge amount of people, trying to also make sure that like everything is working and that you have the resources to do so. And then you also do so in a way that doesn't actually negatively impact everybody, and so that it's a very complex thing. And I see it obviously very as simplified a lot online, when it's unfortunate because like I always kind of like, I'm not trying to defend them, because I think that they need to continue to work hard on making it better, but defending the concept of development is something that it's like, like when you're actually in it, it makes sense as to why it's maybe wasn't a switch to turn on right away. But 12 months later and things like that, absolutely they should be getting some of these things squared away. And what will be interesting to see is that between YouTube having it now ish, and then Twitch having it, like if there ends up becoming this like really good medium between the two. And that's why competition is absolutely critical. And the fact that Twitch has been so dominant, I think we're starting to see their fall in dominance, over the course, and we'll probably see that continue over the next couple of years, depending on what they end up doing in the long term.
And whenever somebody is clearly not trying to do this, and I wonder if somebody at Twitch, do they think that I'm promoting this? Do they think that I'm a racist? Do they think that this is something that I was like, oh wow, good job guys, you got the N-word on the screen? Is that really what they believe? I find this to be insulting that it's even a question. And to be honest with you, I'm insulted that it even happened. I find it ridiculous. I think Twitch moderation usually does a good job, but I think this is fucking ridiculous. I'm not sorry for what I did. I think that I made the right decision. I did nothing wrong. The only thing that you could say I did wrong is hiding the chat entirely, which I think you could make that argument, and if that's what they're going to say, then that's fine, but I better see this happen for every single other person that doesn't hide their chat as well, and we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, yeah, it's not going to be enforced consistently, and then also kind of just for discussion, kind of devil's advocate, for point of thought to kind of chew on. Like, how do you make that consistent? Like, there isn't an Asmongold. Like, as to his point, like, I'm sure, yeah, there's people that message me all the time, like, that blame me for him coming to play 14, that blame, oh, he's such this, he's such that. And it's that's one of the problems that, when it comes down to the internet in a weird way. Like, it's such an interesting phenomenon when it comes down to it. Like, when I meet people and it's that, like, they have a view of somebody that was formed based off of something, like whatever formed that idea, and that becomes their predominant view, and then it takes so much effort and energy to change that view. And so, like, people have that of me, and that's just the nature of when you put things out into a public space. People are going to form an opinion, and then they'll, and then other people might have formed an opinion around said opinion, and then it just kind of, goes from there. So it's always interesting, especially like in my case, obviously not as, prolific or as large as Asmon. The feedback and thoughts and some things that people say that they've heard about me. I'm like, all right, like, I'm a big boy. I can just, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, that's interesting. I've never thought of myself in that way. And then I think about it and I'll go, am I that? And I go, no. And then I just move on.
So I'm very frustrated about this. I'm very annoyed, and it looks like we're not going to be streaming until Sunday. I don't really know what else to say. Again, I think that what is the most offensive to me about this is that the implication that I'm complicit with racism or homophobia on my stream. As if I haven't done multiple videos and gotten hate from the broader Twitch community that they've cultivated, by the way, and profited off of over the last 10 years, that is embroiled with homophobia and racism, because I've tried to push back against that. Somehow me not blocking my chat is somehow that I'm okay with it. I'm very frustrated and I'm very annoyed by this. And I think that this video probably went on a bit too long, but I want to say thank you to everybody who's been supportive to me and everything like that. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all very soon. We have a lot of things to talk about, and so this is just another thing on the list. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you later. Peace.
All right, so that finishes off the video, and I think essentially what I said at the beginning, like, this will be a gift to Asmon, and essentially from Twitch. A sucky one, like, does what happened deserve a ban? I would say from what he's shared, no. So based off of that information, this is ridiculous. Twitch is, like, absolutely, I feel like, in the wrong in this case. But what a better way to hand Asmon a gift. What a better way. And he's talked about that in the past. Like, if he does get that ban, it's like he knows it's going to get those millions of views. He knows that it's going to be viral. And it comes down to it. It's absolutely number 6 on trending, over 1 million at the time when I wake up to this news. This is just insane and wild. It looks like it was posted yesterday, probably yesterday evening, as Julie and I have been celebrating our 12th anniversary. She sent me the video. She's like, this is ridiculous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, can I make a video? And she's like, absolutely, go for it. So, all right, guys, that's the reaction. I thought I'd kind of share that with you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you feel like you want to weigh in on the conversation, sound off below. What is essentially like your solution. Also, that's it. If you guys like these videos, be sure to like, be sure to favorite, subscribe, share, all that wonderful stuff. I doubt this will be going to trending anytime soon, but that's okay. Like, it's kind of fun to react to Asmon in this case, kind of a reverse reaction inception aspect. But at the end of the day, he's going to come back on Sunday. That's what he said. I think he's going to come back to huge numbers. Huge. I love that word when you say it like that. I'm working on my impressions for my stand-up. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a great and wonderful weekend, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to destiny. I'm off with a clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.